In this video, I'm going to talk you and walk you through my notes that I made for the first chapter of my book, which is Flow and the Meaning of Life. Now, I am considering the answer to the question, what is the meaning of life at the moment, to live in flow. And I'm going to hopefully explain in this video, I'm going to hopefully explain why I think that. So we're going to start with a definition, talk about the benefits, a moment on history of flow, what it is, 17 flow triggers. This is a very important one. A couple of notes from Max Gotzler, my sort folder, some research. The things on the left are mostly housekeeping or notes things, but let's kick it off with the definition. So the definition of flow is an optimal state of consciousness, a peak state where we both feel our best and perform our best. Also known as being in the zone. Steve Kotler says it's the most desirable, or Jamie Wheal, Steve Kotler ask, is it the most desirable state on Earth, and also the most elusive? This is an example why people barrel through waves the size of buildings. These people can only perform in the flow state, because if they're not in the flow state, it's a kind of life or death situation. Can't remember what that was. The experience, this is a different definition, the experience of a complete absorption in a particular endeavor. Okay, and there's a little is when we're so lost in the task at hand that we lose a sense of time and space. We even forget ourselves, our ego, and its ruminations. So I think you kind of get the idea from that. It's a state of consciousness where you feel your best and perform your best. The benefits are increased creativity, increased productivity, accelerated learning, improved motivation, overcoming fear, improved performance, physical and mental, better sleep, i.e. rest recovery, and increased happiness. Does that sound like the meaning of life? I think so. The history, so Mihai Csikszentmihalyi pioneered the term, or coined the term, in the 70s. And this is kind of his framework. It's like if you put the challenges on one axis and abilities on the other, if you're under-challenged, you get bored. If you're over-challenged, you get stressed and burnt out. So flow is that sweet spot in the middle of under-challenged and over-challenged. There was also another little framework here. That's the same diagram with a little bit of different structure. So that's a little about the history. So what is flow? I think we've just discovered it. So it's a subset of non-ordinary states of consciousness. So let's say your normal waking life is ordinary state of consciousness. Flow is a non-ordinary state. Now, there are two types. There are functional non-ordinary states and dysfunctional. Functional are optimal states, flow, meditative, ecstatic states, joy. Dysfunctional are mental illness. Different types of non-ordinary states of consciousness are dreams, trances, possessions, etc. So flow falls into that kind of category. The word that Steve Kotler and Jamie Wheal use is ecstasis. These states or experiences which take us out of ourselves. And the experience is characterized by this kind of acronym STIR, which is selflessness, timelessness, effortlessness, and richness. I think this is from Jamie Wheal, and I can expand on each of these. I don't think I need to, but these things sort of characterize the flow state. This is the kind of DNA. I've got some other characteristics here. I can't remember what I wrote here. Complete concentration with the characteristics of flow: complete concentration on a task, clarity of goals, immediate feedback or reward in mind, transformation of time, speeding up or slowing down, etc., etc. And that's a little bit of what is flow. Okay, now let's go to the flow triggers. These are the things which bring you into the flow state. They're pretty awesome. So there's 4 psychological triggers. Accelerate or catalyze entrance into the flow states. Bear with me, I'll just collapse these. We have 4 psychological triggers, 3 environmental triggers, 9 social, 1 creative trigger. So let's go to psychological. You should have intensely focused attention. You should have clear goals. You should have immediate feedback, and you should have a balanced challenge to skills ratio. That's harking back to the graph I just showed you. There are 3 environmental triggers: high consequences, deep embodiment, and a rich environment. So high consequences means that, like, if you mess it up, there is I guess, a consequence. So there should be a downside. You have to create those in some cases, like maybe like little punishment exercises, I guess. There are 9 social triggers, so a bunch of social triggers: serious concentration, shared clear goals, good communication, familiarity with the other people, risk, sense of control, close listening, and always say yes. That's like a trick from improv. You never shut down someone else's idea. You always say yes and, no buts. And 1 creative trigger, or 2, what is that? Pattern recognition with risk-taking and equal participation and skill level. So those are the flow triggers. You try to build those into your activities, and they drop you into flow. There's a little video on YouTube by Max Gotzler, my friend, the main biohacker of Germany. He had some ideas combining chocolate with cinnamon, monoamine oxidase inhibitor, using the Pomodoro technique, using the Pavlok self-punishment. That's back to the consequences. Creating a distraction-free zone. Taking the moment to think, why is the goal important for you? That's pretty dope. Setting goals, what do you want or need flow to? I guess that's similar. Working in a fasting state or a keto state, limiting your resources, putting time limits, budget limits, I guess. Using binaural beats, visualizing being in flow. I can't remember what that one is, addressing the fear, and creating a powerful morning routine. And this was my sort branch, just a bunch of stuff a bunch of notes which I took. I guess you can pause if you want to look at those. And what else was there? Flow research, a bunch of articles, and flow science. Yes, this was interesting. So this is getting into the neurochemistry and neuroanatomy of what's going on. I won't dive in too much detail there. If you want a copy of this mind map, just let me know. I'll share you a link. There is the flow primer. Bye for now.